What is going on? We are back with another video. It is actually the next day from the last video. Of course, the engine is out of the Tao, and I have started gathering all the supplies for me to start on the project. And as you can see, here are all the supplies. You can quickly tell what is going on here. Got another steering apparatus. I got front knuckles. Got a rear Go Kart axle. Got brakes, more zip ties. Got a sprocket that will work with the dirt bike engine. The new chain is in the car. But yeah, we're gonna get started on the Tao TBR7 swapped Go Kart. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I have my first little motor mount ready to go. It's going to be about 18 inches wide. I didn't think about it beforehand, but on this axle, the mounts for the axles have to be here, and that's roughly 14 inches apart. Since I don't want to make the Go Kart more narrow, I'll just build a back section for this, and it'll allow it to be a little longer anyways, so it'll work out. I have of course figured these out, marked these out. I've done most of the measurements for getting the motor mounts on the front of the motor. It's roughly, where's my little, here, it's roughly 2.5 inches higher on the front than the back, and that means I'll need to make these little brackets 4 inches. Oh, so these will be 4 inches instead of on the front they were 1.5 inches. So once I get that in place, I'll be able to mount or weld together the initial frame. And what I'll do is, this will be the back part of this frame, so the 4-foot metal pieces will weld directly onto the back of this. This piece with the brackets will be welded where it needs to be, and then I'll build a cradle for this back section, and then it'll just, you know, I'll line up the gears, and we should be in business, at least for the back section. Alright, so as you can see, I have the motor in place. I have the front motor mount tacked in. I am getting ready to start welding the corners of these frames. Then I'll make sure that it's square and level, or I guess evenly spaced front to back here. Weld these in place, and then I'll be able to remove the motor for now. Just so I can focus on, well, I guess I got to keep the motor on, because I do got to make sure this back piece, when I tack it on, it lines up with the gear, and then at that point, once I have the gear in place, I'll be able to take the motor out and figure out everything else. Alright, so you can see I got this whole back section kind of mocked out. I'm about to tack in these connections, and when I tack those connections in, I'll grab the jack stands, I'll lift it up a little bit just so I can get the like this connection made, because this is aluminum, and like the bearing carrier is aluminum, so I had to make a little jump, I guess, to metal by bolting this on, and then I'll weld that onto the frame. And yeah, I'm about to tack that, and once I get it back on jack stands, I will tack in each of the sides to hold that in place. Ran into my first little clearance issue. The brake the brake rotor is a lot bigger than I anticipated, so I'm actually gonna chop a little bit of this frame, because why not? So yeah, I'll go ahead and get that done, just so the brake rotor has somewhere to go through. Alright, so I have the motor off now because I have most of this in place. What I will do is I'm going to cut off a little 16-inch piece, weld it on the top so the top is also held square, and then I will go through and I'll weld through every single one of these junctions, every single one of these brackets, just to have everything in place for when I can put the motor back on, figure out where the seat goes, figure out the front, and we'll be good to go. All right, so the front wheels, I officially have bought these. Of course, this hub will not fit on the lovely Go Kart. Those hubs are different. They're slightly bigger than this also. So just removing this centerpiece wouldn't work. I actually have to drill a slightly bigger hole just to make room for the actual like 3-spoke one. I'll eventually just, you know, bolt it all back together with the actual hub in the middle. But I do need to cut a hole and then also cut out, because on the other side of this it's welded. Of course I can't turn around, there's nuts and stuff in here. And that's from the other wheel. Because I have created this whole contraption just to get the center hole out. I needed to hold the rim steady somehow and hold the hole saw in place without it wobbling everywhere, because my first attempt didn't go so well. That was just sitting on the ground and I was trying to hold the hole saw in place, and of course it didn't work well, but we'll see. Get a lot of rain last night. Since we did get a lot of rain, it is completely soaked where I usually work. Currently the drill is charging because both my batteries are dead, so I can't finish the wheels. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to getting the steering situated. Right, so I was able to get the batteries charged enough on the drill to actually get the front wheels done. I was like, the angle looks kind of off, but of course now it is officially a rolling chassis. I will now, I believe I'm going to mount the motor so I can get the clearance for the seat, get the seat in place as far back as possible, and then once I get the seat in place, I'll be able to figure out steering wheel position and get that mounted. Alright, so I made these slight little brackets just to move the motor back. I was able to move it back about 2 inches just to make room for that exhaust. The seat bracket did come loose overnight, so the seat will actually sit like this. Now that I have the motor and the seat in place, I've moved to working on the shifting linkage. I used a breaker bar that I snapped the head off of, used a old brake lever. This is going to be the clutch, and of course shift linkage, and as you can see, it's just going to be a nice little lever there. I'm getting ready to mount up my little linkage, I guess, length adjuster. Once I have this in place, I'll be able to have the whole entire linkage set up. So I adjusted the angle of this to compensate to where the steering wheel is going to be. I have this tacked in place just to kind of get the idea. I am going to now work on supporting the steering wheel. Once I get the steering wheel supported, I will start working on the throttle and the brake. After I finish the throttle and the brake, or actually after I finish this, I'll check back in, I'll lay out all the brakes, the throttle, and get started on that. Right, so we have our steering officially in place for now. I just have that as the brace. I have it a little tacked in there, but now like I said, I'll lay out. I gotta go get the carburetor, grab the carburetor, lay out the throttle cable, see where it needs to sit, and go from there. Right, so we took the seat off because I'm going to, first, here is the wonderful linkage going to the gas. Brake will have to wait. I need more metal. The gas tank, which will be roughly right here, so I can mount this onto there, so I'm gonna work on all of the wiring and basically mount everything on this wooden plate, and then it'll be good to go. Alright, so I got everything kind of tucked away behind the driver's seat. At the moment I got the jump starter connected because of course I'll probably need a jump, but gas connected, everything except the choke is connected. I'm about to pop some gas in it, and then once I put some gas in it, I have the key temporarily mounted there and all this stuff. I'll try to start it, and if it starts, I may be able to actually ride it around a little bit. Alright, so here is where we stand at the moment. We have everything wired in except for the headlight. I unplugged that because it's not necessary. The clutch right now is the actual lever from the motorcycle because I needed this plug here for the clutch, because without this plug connected, it thinks the clutch is not connected or not pulled, so it doesn't allow you to fire it. But of course it is at the point where I can turn the key, lights turn on. I had it on the charger for a little while, not sure how much it charged it, not really sure if this is even going to work, but I have the choke right here. It is currently all the way choked. I do have the one thing I did notice earlier when I was trying at first is as soon as I hit the throttle it would die, but I think that's just having a dead battery, hopefully. Let's go ahead and turn on our little gas valve on this end. Oh, wrong way, this way. See the gas. I don't know if it's even going through, who knows. Anyways, I probably do need to make sure there's enough gas. You'll get the gas can, I'll fill it up a little more. So I am getting ready to make the last weld on the Go Kart. The last weld is going to be a little piece of threaded rod it just moved, to limit how far back the brake pedal or the gas pedal can go. And once I get that on, I'll put the gas tank back on, the gas tank, get all that back in place. Once that's all back in place, I will be able to try to start the motor. So yeah, go ahead and get this welded in place. Alright, so I've got everything buttoned up. Here is the brake apparatus. I took a latch from a door. Of course, it just pulls on the brake. Got the reservoir up here. Got a nice little brace. Still have to attach the throttle, so I'll go ahead and do that. Got the motor back in place, the gas in place. Attached the muffler just for simplicity. Hopefully it helps me start the motor. Everything is in place. Got everything kind of mounted so it doesn't wiggle around. Like, this is actually now in place. I'm gonna actually try to test it and get it started, see if I can get it to run. So we have the choke open, switch, key on. Let's give it a try. Oh, getting a little kick. Ooh, little backfire. Problem that we are running into is that the fuel bowl itself doesn't seem to want to fill when I have the bowl on. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to carburetors. So I did the right thing, and I just went ahead and bought a new one. So I have a new carburetor. I'm gonna go ahead and pop on. I did, while this was like, I took out the valve so the bowl filled up completely and it was actually running. So when there is gas, it will run. It's just some fueling issue. So all right, we're gonna go ahead and pop on the new one and we'll be in business. The bowl is just, the float inside of the bowl, everything's just kind of goofed. But in case you're wondering what size jets I have, I don't know which one is which, to be honest, but this jet looks like to be 100. And that jet I'm not 100% sure on. It looks like it's a 35. So if you ever have a Tao and you need to know what jets to put in your carburetor, it's 100 and a 35. So I'm going to go ahead and swap those into this one and then pop it onto the motor and give it a crank and see if it works. I realize this filter is a little damaged. This is my new filter, but of course it's already damaged. I got the carburetor on, got the choke, gas, throttle connected, already checked. You can see that's wet. Already checked to make sure it fills. And now I can turn the key. Clutch is zip tied, so of course don't have to pull that. And will she fire up? No way. Well, I know one more thing I have to do is I have to adjust the brake pedal because it runs into the wheel. But other than that, it runs. Oh my goodness. Alright, so I think I'm gonna strap on the GoPro and just putt around, see if I can get going. The clutch doesn't engage enough. It doesn't disengage enough to go. No. 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 Okay, so we're gonna have to do some clutch adjusting, obviously. Oh, come on. There we go. So I went to put around the yard and I realized I can't because I had it so the clutch was always disengaged, because right here I had this all the way, basically, you know, another inch loose, so the clutch was never disengaging. Got the clutch adjusted slightly. Hopefully it's adjusted enough to actually make a difference. All right. Go ahead and go back into neutral. It starts right up though. I love that. All right. survey says. Yeah, there we go, there we go, there we go. All right, so we can see that it does work. I'm gonna putt around though, because I really don't want something to break right now. But as you can see, oh, I think the seat's oh boy, I think the seat's touching the exhaust. It smells like something's melting. Oh yeah, I need to adjust that seat so it doesn't move back that far. But at least it runs. A little bracket that goes to the back of the seat. It's still a little wobbly, but it's to keep the seat from pushing into the exhaust, because on that first little ride, of course, it melted the seat a little bit from touching the exhaust. So I went ahead and put in this little brace. I'll eventually weld it in more. It's just kind of tack welded in there for now. Currently I'm working on getting the pedals moved forward a bit. I did extend it about 4 inches, but then I decided to redo this design. So I am working on cutting a plate that's gonna sit across here, and it's gonna weld onto this, and it'll give structural support for the pedal to sit a little further out, because of where the pedals were sitting, you were bumping your knees on the steering wheel. So all right, so I went ahead and made some crazy looking brackets just to kind of space it out more. It is what it is, as always. I'm actually ready to sit down and ride it. I did make that bracket, of course I showed that already. Let's just cut to the chase. So the seating position is a little better. As you can see, the pedals definitely need to be strengthened, but it is what it is. Turn key, I forgot, I took the fuse out. Decent. Here's a moment of truth. Oh yeah, the throttle is definitely very touchy. Of course, the brakes, as always, need some bleeding, but we are in business. Oh, it does burn out. Oh, it does burnouts. It does burnouts. Oh, this is bad. This is real bad. So you can dump the clutch and do a burnout. I'm gonna have to set up the... Whoop! I went to second. Whoops. Alright. I'm actually gonna set up the GoPro so we can see that burnout. Alright, so here's the true test. It is the next morning. I rolled the Go Kart out, tightened the bearings, and let's see if it will just cold start in the morning. Alright, maybe need some choke. Up. Might help if I turn the gas on. That's not good. Might have broke something. Oh yeah. Well, that's not good. Looks like the frame is bending. That's not good.